Hi, guys, and welcome back to another one. Welcome back to Point Blank with Genevieve. I'm your host, and I'm an artist. I hope you've had a great week. I hope you guys have had a great week. We've got a new mic because my last one caved in. So, here we are. If you watched my last video, we went through the first debut album and I unpacked the tracks and what they meant to me. So do go check that out if you haven't yet. Following on today, I want to go deeper with you guys. This is point blank, straight to the point, no messing around. If you want to be a part of this podcast, you need to be somebody who is opinionated, and it's not for everyone. So as you stick around, you're going to find out it's not for everyone. I wanted to talk about my first demonic experience. So the first time I started to believe that there was more than what we see. This is what I've put into my debut album, is understanding that we aren't just up against what's standing in front of us. So really, I don't want to make this too long. I just want to take it back. But this ties into the last video I dropped. The conflict is not necessarily between you and the person. It's the spirits in their life. There's so much noise on this main road. I do apologize. Anyway, so let's go back. So let's go back to what happened. So I must have been about 7 years old, because I was very aware of what was going on in my life. People had already talked to me in my life about these types of entities, like angels are real, there is a supernatural realm, but also like demons are real. So you grow up just listening to other people's stories and things like that. But myself, I hadn't have had that experience yet. So I was fully awake when this was happening. So it wasn't like sleep paralysis. Although I understand what that is, I still do believe that sleep paralysis is only a spiritual issue. I don't believe that it's like anything medically, or I don't think that you can take like medication to stop this. I fully believe and am fully convinced. So I lean towards the category of people that would say that is a spiritual thing, that is a demonic spirit. And I have my reasons for that. So here I am, not having had any type of experience, but I'm lying on my bed, and I used to have nightmares, a lot of nightmares. And people listening to the story might say, like scientifically, if you're having nightmares, it could lead up to you exaggerating like a worse experience. Like, I understand that. But I used to have an unhealthy amount of nightmares as a kid. Nightmares of people coming to get us in the home. Nightmares of people breaking into our home. People coming in with weapons and me having to like hide from those weapons. So like they would have sharp objects. They're basically coming to take our lives. This went on for months. So the more I knew a nightmare was coming, I would hide under the duvet. And remember, at that age, you don't understand that this is not really a reality, that this is a nightmare. At the time, you actually really believe that people are actually breaking into the house or have broken into the house. But what makes the actual encounter that I'm going to talk about different is because these entities started speaking to me, and I'm going to tell you how I told them to leave, and they would answer back. And they show up later in my life. So then I started to differentiate between this is just all a bad dream, and hang on, these entities can physically touch you, can physically bring destruction, but they can also physically leave at a certain command. They can leave you alone. And it all ties into why they must leave you alone, why they have no authority. And then we also learning, like, so how do we give them authority to come and mess with me? How do you give them authority? How do you get them to stay away? When you figure out, hang on, you're a real thing, you're a real being, you know my name, you know how to attack, you know things about me, so how do you know that? So that's when things started to shift, when it's like, hang on, this is no longer a bad dream, something's causing this. And in the same way I was delivered from this, it's like, okay, so maybe there's something good out there that's fighting for me, that's advocating for me. So then the good must know me as well. And it's like, so how could I get more of that protection in my life? So I'm lying on my bed, I'm expecting a nightmare, but what's about to happen is worse. So I remember lying there, I had just gone to bed, everybody else is asleep in the house. And to the hands of a man, I'm fully awake, that's the only way I can describe it, the hands of a man or an entity, but I say man because if somebody touched you, if your friend touched you, you'd be like, oh, that human being touches. So like the hands of a human being, hands of a man, whatever, grabbed my legs, so fully grabbed. Now obviously you're gripped with fear because you can feel the grab, but I'm opening my eyes, but you see nobody in the room. You're not asleep, so this is not a dream. And as human beings, when somebody touches you, you can feel the physical touch. The only thing that makes sense to a touch is you can see the person next to you. So it's like, oh, you touched me. But here you've got something grabbing you, you're fully awake, but you can't see the entity. So had a hand on this leg, had a hand on that leg, and they're grabbing me and they're going higher and they stop about here by my hips. They stop about by my hips. I'm gripped with fear, okay? I felt like there were 3 things in my room. I don't know why I discerned that. I just feel like it was about 3. Then I feel 2 hands around my neck. And this being or beings are choking me. And I remember I can't breathe. And I really felt like I was going to die that night. I'm still awake. I'm still aware that people in the other room of the house are sleeping. Everybody's asleep. I've just come down the hallway, got into my bed, and this has happened. The hands are choking me. I can't breathe. I'm actually like this. Like, I'm not even joking. And this entity is telling me that I'm going to die. Maybe like it was the spirit of death or something. This entity is aware that I'm not asleep. This entity is aware that I'm fighting back. That's why it's resisting my will that I want you to get off of me. And it's telling me, no, you are going to die. Okay. So in that moment, you've never had an experience like this, so you don't know what's happening. Before I get on to how I got out of this, I can feel another entity scratching my legs with its nails. This thing had claws. It was clawing my legs while the one was choking me. Obviously, I'm petrified. Petrified is the word. You're petrified. A voice in my right ear was mocking me. This is what it said to me. It said, shh. And it clicked his tongue at me. It went, and then it laughed at me. Went, That's what was happening. I heard more laughter. It felt like two of them were laughing at me, mocking me, because I was afraid. At this point, I remember as though this happened 10 minutes ago. I replay this all the time. I definitely do think that post-traumatic stress, when I understood sort of what that was, I definitely developed that because of this experience. But I want to do a part 2 to this, of how you overcome PTSD from this and how you take authority over these entities. But you can't take authority if you think it's a bad dream. You can't. So that's the difference, you know? So I start screaming for help. I think at the time I was screaming for somebody in the house. So, help me, help me. One of the spirits took my voice away. Sorry, he made me mute. He made me mute so that I couldn't scream and I couldn't speak. So basically, I was on my bed like this. No words are coming out. And I'm being choked and scratched and laughed at. Then I heard an audible voice tell me, call the name of Jesus. This voice that spoke to me felt like it had always known me. It felt like a father. It felt like your father speaking to you. It felt authoritative. It felt like it was a male. It felt like he was the protector. Now remember, I don't know who Jesus is at this point. I've never met Jesus. I've only heard about, if you ever in a situation, you need to call Jesus. So that's all I did do in that moment. So this voice is saying, call Jesus in your mind. That's what it said. It actually added in your mind, call Jesus in your mind, which is interesting because this being knew that I couldn't physically speak the name of Jesus because this other entity had taken my voice away. Said, call Jesus in your mind. So then I have no actual verbal voice because it's been taken away from this entity, but I start saying the name Jesus in my head. So there I am, but I'm screaming it like, Jesus! That's how I'm screaming it, but it's all silent. And then it was like there was a vacuum in the room that sucked out all of these entities. The scratching on my legs stopped. The hands let go of my neck. Let me just tell you, before they let go, 2 shouts of Jesus did come out of my mouth. Jesus! And then a family member came into my room and said, are you alright? Because they could hear me screaming. And obviously I told them the encounter. But the laughing stopped. The voices mocking me stopped. And the fear in the room left. And I remember asking this entity who told me to call Jesus. I begged him, I said, please don't let this ever happen to me again. I never want to experience this again. I remember begging him, like, I didn't understand why I'd just gone through this. And that leaves me to take you guys on to part 2 next time, where we talk about, it's about 15 years later now. I understand why that happened. But since that day, just to break it down for you guys, now I had to believe that demons were real. And I had to believe that there was somebody that had the power to save me, which means that the thing that came to destroy me or came to attack me, there is a higher power above you. That's what I came to understand. It's like, okay, something's coming to save me, so what does that make you? And also, why are you coming to try and touch me? Or why are you coming to try to steal from my life? Maybe there's greatness within me. Does that make sense? So that's where so my conversations now turned into with people. I could no longer have normal, average, everyday conversations like, I'm definitely not keeping up with the Kardashians, mate. Yeah, I'm keeping up with the supernatural realm around me. Like, when there's a situation, I'm always analysing, right, I'm not just dealing with you, I'm dealing with your demons as well. And yet you have to learn how to fight demons. You don't fight them verbally. That's not how you fight in the spiritual realm. So 15 years later, on to part 2, I'm going to talk about how my relationship with the being that came to save me, how my relationship grew. And who do I think he is? And how do I see him now? How has he changed my life? And I came to understand that this being had actually put a calling on my life for this world to set people free who are in bondage. But that's it, guys. That's part 1. I didn't want to make this too long, but that's sort of the basis of when my life really changed and I could no longer live an ordinary life. Because as I grew into this and understanding of these entities, the good and the evil, I wanted to fight for the good. I wanted to be on the side of the person that came to save me, and I wanted to make sure that I could do everything to save anyone that I knew out of your demonic oppression, out of the things that you're struggling with. I definitely had a passion there that I could help set you free, because I know that you're fighting something way stronger than you, and your pills and your medication is not going to set you free. It's a temporary fix. Pains and medication is always a temporary fix. And it's just mad if I think about my calling in life and how it affects my music. So the debut album that I'm dropping, I don't want to make this too long, but the album that I'm dropping, every single song is my spiritual battle throughout the last 10 years against the people closest to me, and understanding that the enemy, which I have now experienced, comes to kill, steal, and destroy the very thing that was put inside of me. And he uses the people closest to you. So guys, join me next time when we just talk about more. So much to this, but join me next time, and there's so much to unpack. I hope you guys have a great rest of the week. And thank you for tuning in with me. See you next time.